Hi all, welcome to Tuesday Night Live. I'm Rachel. I've just finished my first year of studying a Bachelor of Nursing at uni, yay. And yeah, welcome to Tuesday Night Live. I hope it's going to be a really good night tonight, and what's more good than games? So I have come here into the studio to play Pictionary with you all, and it's going to be a really great time. So I've got 6 options here that the people in the studio are going to yell out and guess what I am drawing. If you think you can guess it quicker, send it in through the comments. If you've got your telephones, if you've got laptops, send it through your comments. But yeah, let's begin. So I'm going to start off with asking the people in the studio what number they would
3.
like.
5. 3.
3 was
2.
7.
5. 3 was
9.
super quick.
Banana.
3 was so quick. Okay then. Let's start.
Oh, good watchy.
Okay, so it's something to do with words.
Okay.
The Gettysburg Address.
It's a face.
Have to
Voice
be a woman.
box.
Is it a woman or is it a man? Doesn't matter.
Frog. Frog voice.
Eyebrows?
Frog in your throat.
Yay!
Yeah!
I was just about to finish drawing Kermit. Yay.
I do love the frog voice. You just don't know what comes out. You're
You
like,
knew
"What
it.
is it?" What would a frog voice sound like? Anyone want to show us?
I don't know. I'm not switched on at all. I feel like I'm not even here in the show at the moment. Okay, right, I need to engage. Okay.
Okie dokie. So Leslie just guessed number 3. What's the next number we feel like?
4.
Okie dokie.
Oh, good choice. Good choice.
Okie dokie. Let's go.
Okie dokie. Oh, one you wanted you to keep on drawing Kermit. Is it a birthday?
Book.
cake?
Looks like
Banana bread. Lounge chair. From
Bed.
above.
lounge. Yeah, lounge.
It's a lounge. Lounge singer.
Lounge singer.
Armrest.
Could be a bed.
TV.
Oh, okay. So, is it a hint about what it could be?
Is it play
Tuesday
school?
Night Live.
Tuesday Night Live play school. How are you getting play school?
They're little.
They're all the same size though.
They're all little.
Couch potato is someone else's guess. Which is a good one.
Ta-da.
Oh, okay. So
Is the couch flipping?
no, I think it's
Or
supposed.
rotating?
It's not The
It's-
Simpsons or something.
It's
is it?
doing something.
Or is it a TV
Okay,
show?
so maybe
It's-
you should
it's a
figure out what TV show it is.
Yeah, it's a TV show.
About
Cheaper.
work.
Cheaper by the
Manya got
dozen.
it! Manya got it!
Oh, really? Yay, Manya! So, for those of you who don't understand, I am drawing Friends. So we've got the 6 friends and we've got the couch, and then the quote is pivot,
Pivot!
pivot.
Ah,
Wow, I'm so impressed
Ah.
with you, Manya. That's
Yay.
really great.
okay, you have to have unique knowledge of the show Friends
Whoa.
for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
That's
a
why
lot
it's
of people
clever.
have.
That's
It's
why
a
it's
classic
Pivot.
one.
I
Did
remember
you
it now.
know
I remember it
If
now.
you Google Ross Geller,
Yeah.
and you search him, and it comes up with a picture of a couch, and you press the couch,
It
and
says
it yells pivot, and then the whole
it
screen
moves. Yeah.
tips, and then you press it again, it tips again. Real fun. Go and do it, guys.
I remember it now. I just was not in there at all. But now I get it.
Okay, what number do we feel?
6.
9.
6 was
Ooh.
quick.
Did someone say 9?
I think I need to go back to school if they said 9. Only 6 options. Okay.
That book.
What is it going to be?
Or a box.
A carton.
Carton.
Milk carton.
Mac wants 7 next.
I'm sorry to disappoint
Pouring
you, Max.
Milk. Milkshake. Milk bowl.
Just keep
Cereal?
going.
Wait-Bix.
No.
How
Milk
many
in
do
a
you
box.
Oh.
Oh, it's tipped over.
Spilt milk.
No use crying.
Don't
over
cry over
spilt
spilt milk.
Yep, someone got it. I don't know who, but I was just about to draw a sad face with a little tear
Sad milk drop.
and like
Crying over spilt milk.
crying over spilt
Ah.
milk. I think Jeff might have got it. Also, no, someone got it.
Someone.
Yay.
Everyone in the comments has gotten it as well.
Yay!
Yeah. Well, most people.
That is.
Monya's on fire tonight, so is Stanley. Looks like people are going pretty well at this one. We thought these would be harder because they're sayings. Milk is depressed.
One.
One. Okay.
One.
One is a good
Okay.
choice. One is a
Okay,
good
okay.
choice.
Which one?
This one. Sunshine and lollipop.
Yes, you get that
and
one, Monya.
Sunshine on my shoulders. Two
Sun,
suns.
Apparently Jen and Senna
Sun
sound
up,
the
sundown,
same.
sun up. Sundown.
No.
Suns
Everything is meaningless under the sun.
under the sun.
Yeah.
Under the sun.
That's it. It's under the sun.
Duh.
Senna, thank you.
Did she just Caitlin just burp?
No, she can't.
Now she's squeaking. 5.
5. Okay. So I think
Let someone else
Senna's real deciding.
She said by shouting it, so I'm just shouting.
Okay. I don't know where to start. Let's. Oh goodness.
That's like a nuclear missile falling to Earth.
Doggo. A dog.
It's a doggo.
Spot.
Oh,
What is with your tail? That's really picture. I'm like,
Okay.
if you were to name this dog,
Leave my dog alone.
I'm not sure it is a dog.
Maybe
It's
maybe
like a
it's.
flurgan or something.
Barking up the wrong tree.
Bucket little tree.
Yay!
Yes. I just
Good on
was
you,
thinking
Jen.
exactly the same thing. It was
Jen.
starting. It was just coming out of my mouth as you said it.
I have a feeling
Okay,
that
let's
Jen
let's
is
rub this
winning
one out
this.
first, since people are judging.
It's lucky we're not scoring, Caitlin, isn't it?
We're not scoring, but Jen's
2. 2.
Yay! Whoa!
No,
Oh.
someone said 7.
7.
7. Yeah, that's not an option here.
Okay.
So, okay.
Cut. Film. Movie.
Ka-chok.
Okay.
Lights.
Camera.
Action.
Wiggles.
The Olympics. Marriage. Marriage.
It
Let's
brings
play
us
Fiasco.
together.
It is a movie. Well done,
Oh.
Olivia.
Christian wedding movie.
What kind of movie
Oh, that's
is
it.
that?
That's it.
That's it.
Okay. Is that a plus or a cross?
That's a cross. I'll make it longer.
Don't get cross with your marriage.
Is that wisdom or is that a movie?
Definitely wisdom.
Oh, wow. Michael's so wise.
If it makes it easier, there's
3 movies.
License to Wed. Married at First Sight.
Lord of the Rings.
yes,
True.
Lord of the Rings.
Oh.
Michael got it.
Oh.
Yay!
Well, there you go. Right, you guys were actually pretty good at
That was so
Christian
good.
Farmer wants a wife. That's you, isn't it, Michael? I think Michael's the Christian farmer who wants a wife.
Wow, this is,
Maybe we could do an episode on it for Tuesday Night Live sometime.
Maybe.
Oh dear.
Maybe.
I feel like there might be some boundaries with that.
Okie
Issues with
dokie.
boundaries, okay.
Well, that is Pictionary. Thank you for the people in the studio for guessing numbers. Sorry for the people on the couches who said 7 or above, because no.
Well, you weren't alone.
But yeah, I'll head over to the couch.
Okay, well there you go. I was really expecting it to be a lot harder than that. Rachel and I sat down
Right.
thinking about what are some fun ones. I'm surprised by how quickly people got Pivot.
Right,
Although no
yeah.
one here got Pivot really quickly.
Yeah.
That was pretty good. Now, Senny.
Can I just say, there is an extra person in studio tonight.
I was about to say that.
This is Michael. I'm not sure what's going on with Caitlin this evening, but this is Michael. You notice he's only temporary because he doesn't have a cup. There's no mug for Michael.
Wow.
So,
Terrible.
but he's here. So,
Yeah,
g'day.
bottle.
Oh, thank you.
There you go.
Just don't drink from it.
I won't.
Yeah, it's a live audience. We've moved from having, a big fuzzy bear to a whole bunch of toys to now Michael.
To Michael.
Same sort of thing.
Same sort of thing.
Yeah, Michael is very wise. He always likes to share some wisdom.
Yes.
Any random piece of wisdom right now, just off the top of your wise head, Michael.
Cliffs are not a safe place to play soccer.
There you go. You heard it here first. Feel sorry for who's going to play soccer next to a cliff, but we'll find that out. Now, we're actually talking about wisdom tonight.
We are. It's been a bit of a theme the last
Yeah.
several months.
Yeah, we've learned a lot about wisdom. We've learned the unattainable wisdom and how that can drive us to a bit of a depressing kind of hard reality, or it can push us to keep on wanting to know more.
Yeah.
We've learned about seeking out wisdom. We've learned wisdom in work, and how to be wise in work, how to be wise in life with folly. We've learned that wisdom is better than folly.
Most of the time.
Most of the time. And tonight, Senna, you're going to talk about this idea of mean wisdom. We're not going to get into it too much now because you will explain a lot tonight.
I will explain what I mean.
But Stanley, who's usually behind the desk helping us with Tuesday Night Live, actually posted in Tuesday Night Live this week, and hopefully you guys all saw that. He posted this meme that's going to come up on the screen now. And so it is the dog wisdom. Senna's doing some weird stuff behind this picture. Oh my goodness, this is a weird place.
I think she might have done that deliberately. Oh, there it is. We're back.
Okay.
So, if I could just pick up the narrative, Stanley posted this picture and invited us to invent our own meme. Fill in the third box. Is that right, Caitlin?
Yep, that's right.
That's correct. And so some people did that, but there was one person I noticed who posted quite a lot of memes.
Who? Oh, Michael. Okay.
Oh, whoops.
So what I've actually done is I've gone and saved everyone who kind of made a little comment. Maybe perhaps people can vote on what they thought was the funniest.
Yep.
There's no prize other than being the perhaps worst wise wisdom giver ever. But vote on it. If you have any more to add, put them in the comments and we can laugh about it later. But our first wisdom is a bone that squeaks is not a real bone.
I thought that was profound doggy wisdom.
I mean, it is pretty profound doggy wisdom. Obviously, you've got an into the head of a dog right there, Seno.
There must be a bit of a crisis for a dog who sees something that looks like something edible and grabs it and it squeaks at them. Like, you've got to think, as a dog, that's a moment in your life where things change dramatically.
Are they doing it to eat it, or are they doing it for fun?
I don't know, but there's got to be some kind of a crisis.
I don't think so. I think that's just what dogs do.
Right, yeah.
Anyway, the next piece of wisdom,
Yep.
It comes from the Bible. And I don't think I want to read it all out.
He just quotes the first 6 verses
Because
of the Bible.
Duncan literally just quoted the first 6 verses of the Bible in Genesis. So
Yes.
Genesis 1 to 6, look it up, and there you go. You can get some good wisdom from that.
Yep.
But he did also add, wow, overshare.
Overshare.
Awkward, which was kind of funny. The next one, also from the Bible, I think, perhaps.
Bit of a favourite.
And I can't read it properly, and I'm almost going to say
Do you
the
want me to
leech.
say it for you? The leech.
Not the leech.
The leech has 2 daughters. Give, they cry.
Oh.
So there you go. Maybe extra points for whoever can find where that is from in the Bible.
Or what it means.
Okay, or what it means. Maybe extra bonus points if you
Yes.
get both of them in the same comment.
Yes.
But let us know. Okay, now we're getting into our favourite person who is seeming to add in all of them.
Yep.
The first one Michael has put down is, what's Modswig... I don't know how to pronounce it. Modswiduga backwards. Do you know what it's backwards?
Yes.
What is it?
A a good wisdom.
Well, think on your feet. So that's good wisdom. That one's kind of funny. I do laugh at that a lot. The next one is taxes are the subscription service to the country you live in. Childhood is the free trial.
It's kind of profound.
Yeah.
Awkward silence. And our last one, our last piece of wisdom, that's good wisdom, is the colour grey is just like black.
Like black. Do dogs actually see colour? Don't dogs? Which animals it sees in black and white?
It's
Dogs.
It's dogs. Yeah. Dogs don't see colour. So I think that's a kind of a profound thing for dogs, because dogs see in grayscale.
There you go.
Michael's like, yeah, that's totally what I was
That's what I
thinking right now. No, he just doesn't know what light grey is.
Right.
So perhaps vote on which one your favourite one was, or keep on adding in. I mean, we've got one does not simply walk into Mordor, which
I think that would be a good piece of wisdom to
yeah,
share.
definitely. To be honest, when I was reading them out, even in thinking about the chapter that we're about to read, and Kel's going to read it for us, all I could think of was Yoda wisdom, and the way that Yoda speaks. I've got any Yoda wisdom.
Did you see my Yoda meme? I had a meme. Do you know Yoda has a last name?
Oh.
It's Alehihu. Yoda Alehihu.
I completely forgot about that.
That was
Damn it,
my-
I walked right into it.
That was my profound Yoda meme. Maybe I'll post it in the comments later on.
Okay, because you've done that, Seno,
Yes.
I'll do it to Michael.
Oh
Not
no. Who's there?
an old lady.
An old lady who?
No, you could Yoda,
It's,
Michael.
sorry. It's little old lady.
Oh,
Oh.
damn it. Look, okay, we're getting there tonight. No, but Yoda wisdom, because you think of the things that he says. I wrote a couple down because, he's just so wise.
Yes.
Do or do not, there is no try.
There is no try. Yes.
Pretty profound,
Mm.
pretty wise, it's good wisdom.
Mm.
You must unlearn what you have learned.
Ooh.
It's a good wisdom.
That's spooky wisdom.
And then, just because it's on the theme of wisdom and Yoda is so wise, out of acceptance comes wisdom, not an inquirement wisdom is, not knowledge wisdom is, not information. This quality of tremendous is wisdom.
What?
Yoda said it, must be profound.
Right. Okay. Make a meme out of that if you can.
Definitely. But yeah, so we're going to get into a bunch of wisdom, a bunch of meme wisdom.
Yeah. I have some memes. I think you'll see it when Kelly reads it for us in a minute. You'll see, but there are, I think, loads of meme-worthy statements in this passage tonight. So watch out for them.
Yeah, and you're actually going to invite some people to try and make.
Oh
some
yeah.
memes.
Yep.
So should we
part
kind
of
of
the show.
pre-warn them for that? So just get ready for that invitation.
So I'm going to give you a few memes, and if you are able to perhaps make a meme out of them and share them in the comments, that'd be great.
Yeah, definitely. Sano, is there anything else that you kind of want to share with people before we get started into the Bible reading and then hear about these pieces of wisdom?
Nothing in particular. We're coming to the end. We've spent the whole book doing this series of different reflections. Reflections on wisdom and on pleasure and on work and on politics and on all sorts of different things. And last week we came to the end of the big reflections, and that was a reflection on death itself, the one that kind of rules them all. We're now on the Lord of the Rings theme, and so these last 3 weeks we're pivoting again and looking at things differently. And so tonight is a collection of wisdom sayings, and over the next 2 weeks we're going to do a big drawn out conclusion to the whole thing. And so
Yeah, so we're really starting to wrap things up.
We're really in the end game now. Sorry, can't help it.
Okay, well, how about we get into it?
Yeah.
Because we've got a lot to learn tonight. And of course, question time at the end. So don't forget, type in your questions with the hashtag question time so that we can be answering them, whether it's from the passage tonight and what Sano says, or whether it's from anything else that you have questions about recently. Please type them in and let us know. But I'm going to pass over to Kel now, who's going to read our chapter. Well, it's a bit big tonight. We're reading from chapter 9, verse 13, all the way through to 11, verse 6. And Kel's going to do that for us now.
After she unmutes.
Hi everyone, I'm Kel. We'll start reading. I also saw under the sun this example of wisdom that greatly impressed me. There was once a small city with only a few people in it, and a powerful king came against it, surrounded it, and built a huge siege works against it. Now there lived in that city a man, poor but wise, and he saved the city by his wisdom. But nobody remembered that poor man. So I said, wisdom is better than strength, but the poor man's wisdom is despised, and his words are no longer heeded. The quiet words of the wise are more to be heeded than the shouts of a ruler of fools. Wisdom is better than weapons of war, but one sinner destroys much good. As dead flies give perfume a bad smell, so a little folly outweighs wisdom and honor. The heart of the wise inclines to the right, but the heart of the fool to the left. Even as he walks along the road, the fool lacks sense and shows everyone how stupid he is. If a ruler's anger rises against you, do not leave your post. Calmness can lay great errors to rest. There is an evil I have seen under the sun, the sort of error that arises from a ruler. Fools are put in many high positions, while the rich occupy the low ones. I have seen slaves on horseback, while princes go on foot like slaves. Whoever digs a pit may fall into it. Whoever breaks through a wall may be bitten by a snake. Whoever quarries stones may be injured by them. Whoever splits logs may be endangered by them. If the axe is dull and its edge unsharpened, more strength is needed, but skill will bring success. If a snake bites before it is charmed, there is no profit for the charmer. Words from a wise man's mouth are gracious, but a fool is consumed by his own lips. At the beginning his words are folly, at the end they are wicked madness, and the fool multiplies words. No one knows what is coming. Who can tell what will happen after him? A fool's work wearies him. He does not know the way to town. Woe to you, O land whose king was a servant, and whose princes feast in the morning. Blessed are you, O land whose king is of noble birth, and whose princes eat at a proper time, for strength and not for drunkenness. If a man is lazy, the rafters sag. If his hands are idle, the house leaks. A feast is made for laughter, the wine makes life merry, but money is the answer for everything. Do not revile the king even in your thoughts, or curse the rich in your bedroom, because a bird of the air may carry your words, and a bird on the wing may report what you say. Cast your bread upon the waters, for after many days you will find it again. Give portions to 7, yes to 8, for you do not know what disaster may come upon the land. If clouds are full of water, they pour rain upon the earth. Whether a tree falls to the south or to the north, in the place where it falls, there it will lie. Whoever watches the wind will not plant. Whoever looks at clouds will not reap. As you do not know the path of the wind, or how the body is formed in a mother's womb, so you cannot understand the work of God, the maker of all things. Sow your seed in the morning, and at every evening do not let your hands be idle, for you do not know which will succeed, whether this or that, or whether both will do equally well.
Some wisdom is what I call kitten poster wisdom. You know, that kind of wisdom that's uplifting and inspiring about how great true friendship is, or the power of love, or the joy of good food. Other wisdom is different. It's more like self-help wisdom, the kind of wisdom on posters with people running or getting things done or wearing ties. This kind of wisdom is practical and positive. It's wisdom for improving your life and achieving things. And some wisdom is meme wisdom, absurd wisdom, cynical wisdom, the kind of wisdom that recognises not everything is sunshine and lollipops. The kind of wisdom that sees the little kittens grow up into indifferent cats who eat native wildlife and who'll eat you too if you die in your house. And those people exercising in those poses can also drop dead of a heart attack and be eaten by their cats. Memes are made for life when you're trapped under the sun, in the frail, fleeting, futile lives we find ourselves in. And Ecclesiastes is built for memes. You could spend hours extracting some of the very best meme-worthy material from it. Like my personal favourite from last week, a live dog is better than a dead lion. Be a great meme. And tonight we come to a concentrated blast of meme-worthy wisdom, cynical wisdom, wisdom tinged with bitterness and absurdity and despair. We're going to spend a few minutes walking through some of these absurd, silly, cynical pieces of wisdom on offer from the teacher. And maybe as we hear this meme wisdom, you could create a meme from it and post it in the comments. I think that would entertain all of us. So take a look at our very first meme. Chapter 10, verse 1. I love this one. As dead flies give perfume a bad smell, so a little folly outweighs wisdom and honour. I can just imagine the poster. Now, what's this meme saying? Well, it's saying that it only takes a little bit of stupid to wreck a whole lot of smart. Like the city in chapter 9 that's ruined because they despise the words of the poor wise man and instead listen to the ruler of fools. Wisdom's good when you listen to it, but we don't. We more often prefer the shouting of fools than the quiet words of the wise. And we see this everywhere and all the time. It's just too easy to listen to the quick sloganeering of the fool. It's just too hard to spend the time listening to the wise and weighing their words. And the world of politics knows this, and they exploit our weakness. We make choices based on foolishness and perverted self-interest, and they pitch it right to us, packaged in single-syllable words and catchy phrases. I think we all at some point wonder what it would be like if we put the best and wisest people in charge of our country instead of the ones we actually elect. But how do we do that? Well, the teacher says we can't. We're trapped by our own folly and madness. Like dead flies in perfume, a little folly outweighs wisdom and honour. But we still spray ourselves with that foul, fly-rotten perfume and smile and laugh because that's how we roll. A little bit of stupid goes a long way. For our second meme, I was tempted by verse 2, the heart of the wise inclines to the right, but the heart of the fool to the left. That's kind of cool, lends itself to a whole lot of left-handed humour. But instead I've gone for verse 3. Even as a fool walks along the road, they lack sense and show everyone how stupid they are. And I can already imagine the meme. I'm hoping one of you will put this together for me. The text kind of meandering down the left side of the picture, while on the right-hand side, a person engrossed in their phone walks straight into a telegraph pole. A fool can't help showing everyone how stupid they are. Or as Forrest Gump says, stupid is as stupid does. And it's so true. We've all seen it. It's like that old proverb that goes, better to stay silent and be thought a fool than open your mouth and remove all doubt. The fool just can't help themselves. Eventually their folly becomes obvious to everyone. And it's sad and embarrassing and kind of funny if it's not you. Our third meme, it stands out from a list of meme-worthy sayings in verses 8 to 11. I was tempted by verse 8, the one about digging a pit, falling into it and breaking through a wall and getting bitten by a snake. But in the end, I had to go with verse 11. If a snake bites before it is charmed, the charmer receives no fee. It's funny for so many reasons. Because again, I can picture the image of a cobra leaping to bite the face of the smarmy charmer. Really, all these memes are about the dangers of work. Just because you're out there in the world doing productive work, it doesn't mean you're going to profit by it. You may not profit. The lazy person sitting at home gaming, well, they can't survive. But the worker may not survive either. You can dig a pit and fall in it. Or break through a wall and find a snake waiting for you. Or chop a tree down right on your own head. Or quarry stone that buries you in a landslide. Work is risky. And the internet is absolutely chockers with videos proving the teacher's point. Videos of people having walls fall on them or mining equipment that falls into the holes they've just dug. There's a whole category of cranes falling over and people chopping off tree branches that fall on their heads or their houses. Because even though work is wise, even though skill and discipline and application bring success, sometimes it doesn't. It also brings risk. You can get hurt going to work. You can lose your life. And as the teacher so eloquently puts it, if the snake bites the charmer before he's charmed it, there's no more money for him. And he dies. I think the other thing these memes teach us, though, is that our great strengths can be our great weaknesses. Sometimes it's the things we're good at that bring us undone. The charmer bitten by his snake. The builder buried under a wall. Because you're so good at them, you begin to think you're invincible. Because you do this so often, you do it automatically and miss the warning signs. Because you can do it with your eyes closed, well, you do it with your eyes closed. This is the folly of life under the sun. That often it's the things we're best at that trip us up. Now, the final meme I want to look at isn't really a meme at all. At least I can't imagine how I would turn it into a meme, but maybe you can. It's verse 19. A feast is made for laughter, wine makes life merry, and money is the answer for everything. This is bitter, cynical wisdom at its most bitter and cynical. And the thing is, despite what the movies want to say, it's true. Money is the answer for everything. If you have money, you are insulated from the folly of your leaders. You are protected from the dangers of work. You can cruise through life unharmed. It doesn't matter what we do. We will never have perfect politics. Our leaders will always be flawed. There will always be a fly in the ointment, so to speak. And work will always bring both pleasure and pain, both joy and danger. Work will wear us out. But if you have money, well, none of that matters. If you've got money, you can survive the flybone follies of mediocre government. You can just pick up and move yourself and your money somewhere else for a while. You can remove yourself to safety and not worry about the dangers normal people face. Money is the answer for everything. It's true. But it kind of hurts that it's true. We don't want it to be true. We want life under the sun to be better than that, to be more noble, more wise, better. But it's not. So what can you do about it? How do you live in this world under the sun, a world of memes, a world of cynical and absurd wisdom? Well, like last week, we can feel ourselves, I think, slipping down into despair and bitterness. Is it really worth the effort at all? Why not just do the least or not even try if we can't be sure of the outcome? Because that's the teacher's wisdom. The teacher's wisdom is you don't know. Verse 14, no one knows what's coming. Or chapter 11, verse 2, you don't know what disaster may come. Or verse 5, you don't know the path of the wind or the bodies formed or the work of God. Or verse 6, you don't know what will succeed. You don't know. You don't know. You can't know if going to work will lead to success or failure, life or death, because you don't know the future. But the teacher's wisdom is different to ours. He comes out at a different place to us. For the teacher, not knowing doesn't mean bitterness or despair or giving up. Not knowing means getting on with it and diversifying our efforts. Ship your grain across the sea, he says in chapter 11, verse 1, because after many days you may see a return. The answer to the risks of life and work is to take risks, to go for it, to strive and to try and take a chance. The only certainty is that if you don't try, you'll get nothing. And so whoever watches the wind will not plant. Whoever looks at the clouds will not reap, he says. So go for it. Take a chance. Do, work, invest, try, sow your seed in the morning. But don't do just one thing. Don't just invest in one area. Diversify. He says in verse 2, invest in 7 ventures, yes, in 8. You don't know what disaster may come upon the land. Or again in verse 6, he says, sow your seed in the morning, and at evening let your hands not be idle, for you don't know which will succeed, whether this or that, or whether both will do equally well. Or in modern terms, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Have more than one iron in the fire. Diversify your efforts to maximise your chances of return and success. In a world of cynical wisdom, in this world under the sun, where life is upside down and we don't know the future, where anything could happen, the wisdom of the teacher is clear. Go for it. And don't just go for one thing, go for many things. Give yourself the best chance of success. But my question is, how does the teacher arrive at this wisdom? Why is this the wise course and not despair or the nihilism we looked at last week? And the teacher's answer is the same. There is a God who made all things, who rules all things. You see it in verse 5. He says, as you don't know the path of the wind or how the body is formed in a mother's womb, so you cannot understand the work of God, the maker of all things. And see, many of us who live here under the sun would take this as saying the world is random. You know, we use that expression, God only knows, when we want to say the same thing. The world is random. We can't know the outcome. God only knows what's going to happen. But the teacher means it differently. He means it literally. We don't know, but God does. See, when we say God only knows, we're giving into the despairing bitterness of meme wisdom. But when the teacher says it, when he says God only knows, he's saying that there is a God who holds our lives in his hands, who gives our lives meaning and purpose and hope. And this should drive us to get out of the house and invest our lives into the world, to work hard and well, to diversify our efforts and to seek a return. In the end, the teacher cheats. He goes beyond the sun when the wisdom under the sun drives him to despair and cynicism. And again, this is the Christian view of the world. We believe the world we live in only makes sense as the work of a creator, a great moral maker who lends hope to our striving, even in the face of the most bitter of wisdom. What will your answer be to a world of memes, a world of cynical wisdom, a world of absurd wisdom? How will you get beyond the sun? There's one last meme I'd like to leave you with, something to ponder as you lie awake in your bed hoping for sleep to come. It's from chapter 11, verse 3. Whether a tree falls to the south or to the north, in the place where it falls, there it will lie. I think there's something in that for all of us.
Well, that's a pretty big challenge to be left with, to think about what does that mean. Perhaps you guys can be commenting that, keep on posting your questions. But Michael, you are not just here as an audience member.
No.
You are here to lead us in prayer tonight. So how about you lead us in prayer now?
Sure thing. Yeah, so tonight we're praying for Australian farmers and praying for farmers across our country. So if there's something you do that helps you concentrate when we pray, it'd be good to do that, and we'll pray together. Dear God, we know that this year has been tough on many people with their jobs. We do also know that our farmers, in particular, have struggled over the last few years with the drought. In the Bible it says that you cause the grass to grow for the livestock and plants for man to cultivate, so that we can have food on this earth. And so we pray that in this harvest time the crops will be plentiful. Lord, we know it's you that sends rain on both the righteous and the unrighteous, and we thank you that there has been some good rain lately, but we ask that it might not be too much, so that it doesn't negatively affect or flood these crops. And we do also know that at this time there's a lot of farms that are struggling to find backpackers and other people to pick their fruit because of the travel restrictions and other things that are going on. So we ask that you'll be with those that are picking and do provide labourers that can do that work well. And Father, we do thank you that no matter what happens with this harvest, that you do provide our daily needs, including our food to eat. And so we thank you that you have provided us for our even greater need of restored relationship with you by giving us forgiveness through Jesus. We ask this in his name. Amen.
Thanks very
Cool.
much, Michael.
I'll jump out the chair.
Magically, Seno is going to appear now. Okay. Seno, people are a little bit shocked that you're such an ABBA fan.
Where did it come from?
I don't know.
Mamma mia!
I think you commented some lyrics tonight. People are singing along with you, so it's a lot of fun.
Take a chance on me. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm very musically literate, I feel, and I like all the music.
Particularly ABBA.
Not particularly ABBA, no.
Okay.
No, but I've been known. I grew up when I was a kid. ABBA that was when they were big. At Benny
Did you
and
watch them
Bjorn
on
and Frida.
Eurovision?
I watched the shows. I watched the ABBA docos and movies.
Wow.
I didn't see them on Eurovision because Eurovision wasn't. We didn't see Eurovision in Australia.
Not at that time.
Not then. I grew up. I just want to say, you know how dogs see in black and white. I grew up with a black and white telly. Like that's how old I am. Although I'm not as old as Leslie, who grew up with one of those weird old phones.
Wow. That was a low blow there.
I had a dial phone, but not one of those weird kind of wind up, phones.
Manual
phones.
Well, there you go. Max said if you're musically literate, he wants you to name every song.
Name every song.
I don't know if it means every ABBA song or every song ever.
Right. That's a question that might take a bit of time to answer.
Yeah, definitely. But speaking of questions, Speaking of question time, as usual, we've got a bunch of questions coming in. So we're going to kick off, get into it. And we're going to start with Kelly's question. And her question is that she's quoted, but money is the answer to everything. So I'm not exactly sure where her question might be coming from, because you did touch on it. I think obviously you knew that people were going to raise their eyes at this.
Yeah.
Because what you kind of talked about was about how actually under this life, money does help us. It does help us in situations. But I think sometimes as Christians, we hear that and we ultimately kind of step back and we go, but is it really? So I'm wondering if perhaps this is could be helpful for Kelly, and if you want a different question, Kelly, let me know. But what is up with that tension between what the teacher says about money is the answer to everything and why we ultimately just kind of go, is that really true?
And I think it is really true. I think this is the hard edge of wisdom, right? We have all these movies, we spend all this time with movies and things trying to say, no, money's not everything. And the reality is, yes, it is. When it comes to real material change, when it comes to real life and death, it's money.
Yeah.
Money makes, that's the observational wisdom that he's making. It's, or to quote a song lyric, money changes everything, Mac. And so I think this is the point he's trying to make, that money is the thing that makes a difference for people. Money is the difference between life and death. Money's what keeps you fed, keeps you safe, keeps you from harm. In all these different situations of the wreckage of politics around the world and the dangers of going out to work and living at home, money's what makes the difference. You got money, you live longer, you live better, Yeah.
So another question she kind of has with that is, should we look to have enough money and not to be affected by things?
Yeah. This is the two different kinds of wisdom in the world. So, because I want to say that's the point he's trying to make, right? He's trying to make a point that money is the answer to everything. But this is, remember, an observational wisdom about life under the sun. And because we know that money is not the be-all and end-all. As a matter of fact, if you spend your life focused on pursuing money, you will end up missing out on the great thing that life is all about. So the funny thing is, though, that even though his observational wisdom about life in the world is correct, if you serve money, you will miss out on the greatest gift and the greatest thing.
And that's something that's actually come up a fair bit, and that other people have quoted about how can you serve money and Jesus at the same time. We're told as Christians, and I think this is why it's hard for us to hear this piece of wisdom, because as people who believe what Jesus has said, it very much tells us to turn away from money because money is not helpful for us. Yeah,
Christians have a different perspective and a different take on money, and they have that for a couple of different reasons. It doesn't actually negate the basic idea here, and that's worth seeing. Christians and the Bible teaches that money is a positive thing. Money is actually a good thing. Money is a way that we can, it's what I say, it's like a way to bottle kind of food and accommodation and clothing. It's useful. The problem with money comes when you serve it as an end in itself. When you begin to love it as the greatest thing, when you begin to trust in it for your security, because then it doesn't deliver. Because it delivers, in a sense, for life under the sun, but then it's gone. You can't take it with you. It doesn't make a difference to life beyond the sun. Money will not bring you eternal life. Money will not bring you forgiveness. You can't buy forgiveness. And that's another song for you, by the way, Mac. Money can't buy you love. I'm just trying to get all the songs out while we're doing the questions, but it cannot solve the problems that are not under the sun problems. It can't, in a sense, solve the ultimate problems of life and death. So money is useful and good and important, but not something we should serve. I think the other tension that Christians have is that tension of poverty. Jesus talks about giving up things to serve him. And so we wrestle with this tension. So should Christians have money? And that's a peculiar kind of, I guess, a peculiar issue for Christian people. And I don't think it's wrong for Christians to have money. It's wrong for us to pursue money as an end in itself and to serve money. But it's not wrong to have money. And it's not wrong to be wise about money. However, the wisdom the Bible teaches about money is in a sense are full of wisdom. So if you like a narrow Ecclesiastes style wisdom is about wisdom about yourself. You know, accrue wealth, make yourself safe and secure. A fuller understanding what the Bible says about wisdom and money talks about things like generosity, and that sometimes the wisest thing you can do with money is give it away. That means you don't have. Maybe I give away money I could have used for my own comfort, but there's a wisdom in generosity and kindness, because that's about love, and it reflects the love of God. So yeah.
Yeah. And Duncan has actually quoted one of the other verses, asking about, you know, the trust in money statement. So he's quoted which verses are it? I think it's 11, 1 to 2. He's got it there, but ship your grain across the sea. After many days you may receive a return. Invest in 7 ventures. Yes, in 8 you do not know what disaster may come upon the land. And he's asked, is he ironically saying to trust in money?
No, Duncan, he's not saying in any ironic sense to trust in money. He's saying be wise about investments and money. And so he's saying go for it and invest in life. This is what life is about. You know, if your life is going to be about work, that means to some extent your life is going to be about money. It doesn't mean that's the measure or value of your life, but it means this is part of living wisely in the world. You don't, in the end, grow your own crops and you know, weave your own clothing and build your own house. You ask other people to do that. Money's part of that process, the economy. And so you go out to work, and that's about money, and a large part of your life will be about earning and accruing wealth that you then use and invest. And so this is just wisdom for investing money well. You know, this is exactly the same as you know, your parents or someone else might sit you down at some point and go, okay, you're starting to build up money, make sure you invest in super, make sure you actually spread the money around, you don't put it all in one thing, you know, invest, you know, if you're going to buy property, that's okay, but make sure you've got something put away somewhere else so that you don't have it all sunk there and it all disappears one day down a rabbit hole. You know, this is about just wisdom with how you do money. Often parents talk to their kids about saving up for a deposit on a house. That feels like that's the Australian way. At some point, your parents are going to pivot from get your degree, and there'll come a point where you've got your degree, and they'll pivot. You'll hear them pivot. It'll be like a click in your head, and it'll be about getting married and about putting away a deposit for a house. You watch. Wait for the moment. So it's just natural wisdom about money. It's not about loving or serving money.
Okay, we've got a couple of questions from Michael, specifically about kind of what you've said. And does this mean we should have multiple jobs at a time?
Maybe, maybe not. He would say multiple potential sources of income is what he would say. I think that's what the wisdom of chapter 11 says. Do different things. And so verse 6 might suggest have a side job, have a second thing that might spin out some cash for you. But it also might be about investments and things like that.
Okay. So it's an interesting thing to think of because in some ways it's hard to look at it from a way, especially as a Christian, to not be like, but if I'm working more jobs, I'm losing time. And that's valuable time that I could be spending on other things, perhaps.
Absolutely, yeah.
But it's meant that I'm getting more money, which is great, but I'm losing out on other things.
Yeah. I think the thing to remember in our day and age is, remember folks, you live in one of the richest countries at the richest time in the history of the world. Even in the time of Solomon, even the relatively well off, the middle class, what we would probably all be classed as being in, even that group of people, it was much more of a struggle and much riskier to survive. Okay, investing in a venture of a ship was like basically not quite as bad as filling in a lot of, buying a scratchy, but it was risky stuff. And so we live at low risk and high return in our age. We've sorted our world out, and we've managed our world and our economy as a community so that we can really live very well. You could all fail at your university degrees and still do really well in life and own a home and all sorts of other things. And so you just got to bear that in mind. with the investments and with this language about investments. So yes, possibly it's about having multiple jobs at a time. I've actually heard people talk about that even in the last 12 months as a piece of wisdom, but it might mean other things. It might just mean diversifying your investments.
Yeah. Another pretty practical question from Michael.
Yep.
Bit from a different angle. Does this mean we should try out different jobs during our lifetime?
Shoulda, coulda, woulda. What can I say? I have, but that's not for everyone. Some people work at the same job their entire life and do really well. They find something they love, it provides for them. The key element here is provision and risk. And so if your job is secure, and this is the thing, our world has changed. In the world of your grandparents, they lived in a much lower risk world. Coming out of World War II and in the 50s, the boom years, they got a job and they could work at that job for 40 years and retire, 40 odd years and retire in the same business, and they will have built a home and accrued great wealth, and it would have been safe and well. We live in a very different world, and in our world they talk about the different jobs we'll do through our life. And so should you will most likely. You will most likely work at a lot of different jobs in your life. It's just the way our world works these days.
Yeah. And so is that lining up with taking a risk, really? Like, what do we mean? Like, when it talks about taking a risk, what kind of risk do we think of?
Well, I think he'd say
for?
taking diversified risks. And so it's like, I'm not much of a gambler, but it's like hedging your bets. You place a lot of different bets so that you guarantee that you get some money back. And it's like that with these kind of investments. It's like making sure you invest wisely so that you do get some return. Yeah. I feel like we're in a very different position. I actually had a great job and was earning good money, and we bought a house, and then I quit the job, I went back to study, we sold the house to pay our debts, and then we never really got back into the housing market again for 20 years. So we were always kind of priced out of the market. So, we just forsook all this wisdom altogether. We took a different kind of risk, and this is the thing. Yeah. I want to be careful. This is a very practical wisdom. It's about how to invest in the world, but there are other things that we want to venture with and other things we want to risk. And I think you talked about this in terms of other things we want to spend our life doing.
Yeah.
You may want to invest your life very differently, and it may mean that money is much less significant to you. One of the great things about being a Westerner is we can do that, and there are lots of safety nets for us, and so we have the privilege in our very rich and well-off society that we can take some of those other risks with our lives, and it's much easier. People in other countries and other places, they don't have. If they took the risks we did, they would be poverty-stricken and hand to mouth.
Yeah, and it's an interesting way to think about it in terms of, what actually do you want to take a risk in, because what do you want to gain?
Yeah.
And so I think in thinking of this in light of beyond the sun, and actually not thinking about, just a risk to gain under this life, but actually thinking, well, what do we want to gain in a sense eternally?
Yeah.
Sometimes taking a risk, becoming a Christian in some ways is taking a risk.
Yeah.
You're saying, okay, well, I'm gonna put my faith in this Jesus that people are telling me about for the sake of gaining eternal life. Like, that is a big risk to take.
Risk.
But if you gain something, like, what a wonderful risk to take.
Yeah. And Jesus talks about that exactly. Jesus talks in investment terms, doesn't he? Jesus talks about the shrewd manager, for instance, in that great parable in Luke chapter 16, where the shrewd manager is someone who invests in the future. And he talks about the people of the kingdom needing to do the same thing. They need to invest in the kingdom itself. Well, how do you invest material things, the things that are under the sun things, money, for an eternal spiritual future, some kind of a winner? But Jesus talks about that. He talks about part of wise investment is actually investing in the kingdom of God. And he says, invest where your treasure will accrue in heaven.
Yeah.
Build up treasure in heaven. So a very different thing.
Yeah. Sorry, we've just got a sign. I can't help but notice this. Center apparently claps. And there's now a sign, don't clap.
Is it distracting? Perhaps you could post about how distracted you are. By my little claps.
Okay, that's helped me just, get right out of the seriousness of that conversation. But someone's made a comment, Laura,
Yes.
made a comment about the cushions, and I'm trying to figure out what she means.
A sneaky look at the couch.
No, apparently there's something about the lines not matching up.
All right.
The cushion, I think she's talking about the cushion with the lounge itself.
Wow.
Laura, help us out because something's wrong and I can't figure it out. But anyway, everyone noticed that I'm looking behind to figure out what this is.
This has been one of those nights, I think.
It's an interesting night because I think, and that's something I wanted to touch on as well. Once again, we got into a section of this book that's just kind of feels like it doesn't fit in.
Yep.
Like all of a sudden he starts speaking about wisdom, and he did it earlier on in chapter 6, 7, and a little bit of 8. And it's just kind of, it stands out because all of a sudden he just starts sharing this wisdom. And you're just like, hang on, how did we get here? What is he doing by this? And so I think it's helpful for us to kind of, notice that, okay, sometimes nights just go a bit weird.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get to a bit in a book and you're thinking, how do we get to this point?
Yeah, what's going on here? Yeah.
What's going on in his mind? What is his purpose?
Yeah. And so it's worth realising there's this umbrella idea here that he's had since the beginning of living under the sun and living well under the sun, and so he's still talking in those terms. And so he doesn't. We as religious people, as Christian people, often want to spiritualise what he's saying, but in the end, what he's talking about is not those spiritual realities. And it's worthwhile for us to step back and go, well, Jesus has a very different take on money and wealth and work and how they all fit together and what we should be investing in, and that's fine. But what he's talking about here is just that this, in a sense, it's accessible to anyone. You don't have to be a religious person to get the point here. What he says in verses 1 to 6 is actually, people just go, yeah, of course you diversify your investments. That's just smart. That's savvy. We actually do it without realising it. I don't know if you realise this, but when you work at a job and your job pays super to you, that super goes to a superannuation company. What that company does is diversify investments. They invest that money over a field to gain an average return and get a good return on your money. So you're actually putting into practice this wisdom without doing anything at all. Because you live in Australia and we have laws that mean there's compulsory superannuation. Yeah. And so a lot of this wisdom is kind of like DeWitt wisdom for Australia because we already do it.
Yeah. But yeah, it's always helpful for us to be thinking about this even more as to what is the point of it all. And you ended with a really interesting way of ending, Senu, by quoting verse 3, whether a tree falls to the south or to the north, in the place where it falls, there will it lie.
There will it lie. I think that's one of the more profound sentences in all of literature.
Yeah. And so as much attention as you all are now paying to the couches and the lines, which I will walk away and keep on looking at, perhaps pay closer attention to what is being said here and really try and figure that out. Send us perhaps what it means to you, what profound wisdom you get out of it. Share with us, we would love that. And just a reminder, guys, that we only have 2 more weeks left after this week.
Yeah.
Tuesday Night Live for 2020 is coming to a quick stop. But yeah, we just want to encourage you guys to hold on for these next 2 weeks, to finish through Ecclesiastes, to really find that end of this book that we've been working through for, I don't even know how long now.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
since July.
But it's been such a journey, so we want to end it all together. So please stick around for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But for now, we will see you hopefully on Thursday for question time.
See you then.